I'm not gonna do some long-winded intro where I introduce you to John Cena, because truth be told, you already know who he is. He's one of the biggest wrestlers to ever walk this earth. Period. He kept wrestling mainstream and was the face of the biggest wrestling company of the world for an entire generation. My generation. I'm just gonna keep it real. Cena was my wrestling hero. The only other wrestlers I can think of who affected me like Cena did as a child was CM Punk and Rey Mysterio. But Cena was always my go-to. He was reliable, dependable, though not above being human. He got angry, he got sad, sometimes even defeated. I grew up through the Ruthless Aggression era and a lot of the PG era, though eventually I fell out of wrestling. I think it's because I started to see the patterns, the formulaic nature of it sometimes. I can't exactly pinpoint when, but I think the range of when I dropped was around WrestleMania 29 to 30. I'd keep an eye on the wrestling world, but I eventually fell out entirely. But I never grew to hate Cena. Sure, I can admit that there were definitely mistakes made with his character, but there was always something so genuine and honest about Cena the person. Really, I want to write this video because I wanted to reflect on the fact that, in a way, Cena leaving wrestling around the same time I got back into wrestling is sort of a strange and poetic moment. I had gotten back into wrestling slowly but surely around 2022. I watched bits and pieces of the Tribal Chief era of Roman Reigns, paid attention to the great work from AEW, watched the great stars of NXT, which John Evans and Trick Williams are probably going to be the future GOATs, and even watched some TNA matches for the first time. I re-entrenched myself in the world of wrestling and then went further. Yet, I found part of myself still missing someone like Cena. I know for a fact it was part of me wanting that childhood nostalgia back. So I obviously went back and made myself see what I'd missed when I was gone. And, color me surprised, but Cena redeemed himself in the eyes of so many who hated him. Not to me, but just to the world around him. The US Champion Open Challenge, his honesty in interviews, and so much more. I knew, even as a kid, that a lot of adults hated him. And I don't know, maybe I was a smart kid, but there was a little part of me that slowly pieced together that wrestling was heavily a performance art. No, not fake like some of the pseudo-intellectuals are gonna say, but I saw the stories that were being told. It was a lot like the weekly or monthly superhero comics I loved reading. And Cena was the real-world Superman. I doubt anyone actually hated Cena the person. He did so much good for so many people and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Makes me wish I knew I had a chance to get a Make-A-Wish. I probably would have asked to meet him too. Or get a new house or something like that. What really surprised me though about seeing Cena's growth as a person is how he developed. I was so used to seeing many of the celebrities I looked up to as a kid turn out to be not so great people, or maybe even grow into even worse people. Yet, he was honest, admitting the faults in his choices and his actions. But I think the moment of honesty that made everything click for me was this moment right here.
But you actually believe that I'm a shark, that I hold everybody down, that I swim to the top and keep them underwater at any and all costs. I'm a level with you, homie. I haven't main evented WrestleMania in 5 years. I was the opening match at SummerSlam. I was honored and privileged to earn the United States title at this stage in my career and use it as a beacon of opportunity to introduce new superstars to the WWE like Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, just to name a few. You took the US title as a demotion. And you stand there and blame me. Fine, I blame you. I'm still here because you can't do your job.
It didn't come off to me that he hated wrestling, and that's why he wanted to leave. But I think Cena has the humility to know when not to overstay his welcome. Though, that's probably from prior experience. I'd rather have Cena go than grow into a parasite onto the business he once supported. And while he was working in the wrestling world, he gave us so many storylines, or at least tried to give us the best stories he could. He gave us some of the best rivalries in all of WWE, if not wrestling history. JBL, Edge, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Dolph Ziggler, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Umaga, and so many others I can name. I guess the main reason I'm writing this video is to just portray my cluttered, grateful thoughts on who John Cena has become, but also thanking him for knowing when to go. In a sense, I'm not sad he's leaving. Of course it'll impact me, but it'll be pure catharsis to see the man leave on his own terms, to not just turn himself into a name that tramples over others in his later part-time career. He put over so many other people, grew to make the best matches he can with others. He used his spotlight to try and grow the stardom of others. I can only respect that. He started as someone who didn't have a chance, getting his moment and becoming so overbooked that it became a major issue, to instead trying to make the business better than where he left it. I think we need more of this. I hope this style of maturing gracefully and leaving the world better than where you left it becomes more common. Hopefully, Cena becomes a standard for how a wrestler will treat their careers in the future, rather than how some may treat it. And I think much of his ethos, well, it still stays with me. Sure, you can call the whole hustle, loyalty, respect stuff just a corporate selling point, but these core words do have a meaning. The three main words that one can live by. You gotta learn to rise above hate. He is the embodiment of these words. I still remember when people cheered when he admitted he tore his tricep, only because that's how much they hated him. These core ideas have really kept me going to some extent, without me really even realizing it. Hell, his philosophy is the reason I keep doing what I do, despite getting no traction, barely an audience, and having little time to make larger videos. Because he showed me to chase what you love doing, but that also, you aren't what you do. I grew up in a world that always tried to define me based on what I couldn't do or wasn't able to do. And you show me that even if the world you exist in hates you with a passion, or at least a large part of it, you can keep pushing on and make your way through. So at the end of all this, thank you, Cena, for being the man I could rely on to uplift me as a child, and for being an example of how to be a proper man as I got older. Thank you